The second Worldeater raid is here, and the level 103 target is, well, quite a bit harder than we've seen previously. Today I want to run through it with my combination fleet of U3 and X1 Worldeaters, with a few armors and stuff that are missing. Rather, what I'm saying is it's not a full cap fleet. I'll show you the build, of course, at the end, and I want to show you how you can do this for reasonable repair, talking about some of the driving tactics that you might use. First thing to note is there are an absolute ton of these shrouded buildings right here. To unshroud them, you want to kill the sort of pop-up power pylon here. It generally unshrouds the closest thing. Now what you want to watch out for is as you get close to this one, other things are going to start to pop up around it. You can try and be pretty aggressive and charge in and do some chaining onto some of these guys here before everything else starts to shoot at you, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. I generally recommend avoiding more than 2 penetrative sources shooting at you at one time, the exception being if it's 2 of the same missile turret, you're completely fine. But if you ever have the UAV turret and a UAV ship, for instance, shooting at you, you are very likely going to get pretty much completely overwhelmed. I'm going to now engage this next turret cluster, which is on the left here, by hitting the short-range corrosive turret. I want to do this while staying away from everything else, which is why I'm clicking on all that stuff over here. What I want to avoid is the long-range corrosive guy on the left from shooting at me. Instead, I just want to chain and take everything down that way. Turret cluster directly in front of me, what you do not want to do is engage the depth side directly. You instead want to use its range here to get close to the penetrative turret, which I'm going to do right now. Fire a volley at this one and then run away. If you're moving away, it gives your Gales more time to take down the impending UAVs, which is always a good thing because that means less damage. Corrosive ships right there, just get close to those guys and chain out a few of them. Nothing too much to worry about here. That last one I actually could have even stayed further away from and taken less damage. Let's now get close to the top right pylon, platform, power platform, whatever you want to call this one. A few things pop up, but nothing scary because you can just outrange that corrosive scattergun turret, and the missiles are taken down with Gales, which is pretty wild. I should mention, if you haven't been paying attention to the build videos, that I do have two ships that have Gales on them, which is incredibly important for this target. And actually some people are even using 3, which just means it takes you longer to kill things and longer to complete the target, but works out completely fine. If you're using 1, I would definitely recommend doing something a little bit better than that one, aka 2 or 3. If you saw those circles on the far right side here, what actually happened there was something shot at me. It's actually your ship or weapon right here with dumbfire, and I was able to avoid all the damage from that one because I stayed moving and dodged that one. We'll go back through and kill some of those guys a little bit later. For now, I want to chain and take down a few of the incoming items here, the important one again being a long-range scattergun, because nothing else really shoots at you there. Death Scythe turret on the bottom here, I'm going to be able to avoid taking damage from him if I just kill the short-range scattergun at the very top, which I want to actually highlight the range of the Death Scythe here, because I want to stay away from both of these two rather than just one of them. Once that's down, we can now loop towards the bottom of the target. There is a short-range scattergun right here. I'm going to engage this one and take him down, which I can avoid the mine and do that. This should allow me to chain onto a few other items here as well. We'll have to see which way it goes. What I really want to do is take down the penetrative UAV turret, which I was able to do pretty well there. This green building, by the way, has a ton of health and is very large. By that I mean you can actually start chaining onto him from a very far distance away in most cases here. I'm not really touching this one. I'm going to be able to take down the Death Scythe turret as well as the long-range scatter, which is what I'm worried about here while being very far away. UAV ship, don't have to worry about him too much. He's going to circle, but I can take down all of his UAVs with my 2 Gale ships completely fine. I'll just sit in range and kill this guy slowly until he goes down. Few things on the bottom of the turret cluster. I'm going to use the missile turret to chain onto the scatter. You could also use the short-range scatter to chain onto the long-range scatter. That would work totally fine. You can do that really any way you want. Let's get close here, grab a few ships. You could maybe play around and use these for chaining later, but I don't really want to do that. So instead, I'm just going to take those all down. One more scatter ship to go here. Let's now see if we can take down the missile on the left, or rather the UAV on the left, without being fired at by the scatter on the right, and see if we can use any chaining across the center here to our advantage. Okay, that looks pretty good. We should be able to go to the left and grab, let's see, the missile as well as the blue building here. Should take down a few things. Unfortunately stopped, but the death side is going to hinder our progress. What I want to do here, this part's going to be pretty tricky and might involve taking some force damage from the scatter. If I go from the bottom, I'm going to take damage from the death side, no way around it. If I go from the top, I'm going to take damage from the long range scatter, no way around it, unless I can chain off the ship, but I kind of doubt that. The turret cluster on the right side here, I should be able to go from that top area, which I think I'm going to be able to do. So I'll loop around to the top and then kill one on the left here and then one on the right, because there's nothing that stops me from going on this right side whatsoever, but there is on that left side there. So the way Kixeye wants you to take down the death side and the combo turret here is if you shift click on one, by the way, and hover over the other, you can see there's a path that gets through that. What I'm going to do is use that path and actually make sure I'm not going into range of anything to grab the long range scatter turret, get that guy taken down, and once he's down, I'll be able to stop. Unfortunately, I did trigger the mine on the top there, so I might try and go around that next time, or maybe just between them a little bit better. But once I, got that scatter turret taken down, I can now stop, take my time, and take everything else down. There's a missile turret right here, pretty short range on this one, just kill that one quickly. And then very quickly after that, I want to actually use that pink building to chain onto everything else, so I'm going to take that down while I'm pretty far away. We now do have one more UAV turret left, and the thing we were actually trying to avoid hitting us is going to be forced to hit us, which is this long-range scattergun. He actually doesn't do any damage. If you watch the retreat bar there, most times at max range or a little bit beyond your range, he can't actually do any damage to you if you stay moving. If you are running Hyper 30 or D5 EV, it's likely even better on that one. Taking a look at the battle report as well as the damage and build in a second here, you can see the majority, 73% was corrosive, and then 27% was penetrative, so mostly corrosive again here if you watched the 102 video. Repair time here is 8 minutes and 4 seconds, which is very good. I could try and film another video, and this was actually the first one against the 103. I could try another video and get it down to instant map repair, but I'm not going to because, well, I think you got the general point and the general attempt of the strategy from this one. The build is the same as the 102. I have an X1 Gale ship. I have a U3 Gale ship. Both of these are missing heavy armors and could use more upgraded armors. X1 damage ship, which could also use better armors, weapons, etc. X1 damage ship, and an X1 flagship, which is also a damage ship. Of course, these could all be capped, they could all have better armors and stuff like that on there, but the point is, you don't need the best stuff to work, you just need to know how to drive it decently, which you should be able to do after watching this video. If you have any questions on the build, go ahead and leave me a comment down below, and I'll make sure to get back to you. With that said, this is going to be Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate. And of course, thank you to channel members whose names appear on the end screen now.